Hi everyone, I'm back again with something that's deceptively complicated as an art making tutorial. So this is for the song Shards of Shadow, and I've instantly realised that I'm going to have the same problem I had with the making of The Blink of an Eye. In the case of, I have to try and get the fade right, the blend right. You get the idea. So let's try and get that done. So the first thing I have to try and remember here is which gradient I used. There are a lot in GIMP. The thing is, I painted over most of this gradient. So, was it this one? Or was it that one? I think it was this one. Let's have a look. No, it wasn't that one. That's horrible. Let's try this one then. I think it was that one. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. So I've got a bit here plus another bit, so that's almost right actually. I just need it a bit bigger. What are the chances? Still a bit bigger, I think. Too big, that's what I wanted for the blink of an eye, pretty much. If I'd done that at the time. Oh, come on. Almost. There we go. That's actually almost perfect. So I mentioned just now that I painted over most of this fade because, as you can see, there's just this blue and a bit of a purple, the purple even, showing. So I'm going to take a nice big paintbrush like this one, and I'm just going to paint over all this. I don't know what possessed me to do this when I first created the artwork. Maybe this is just another one of those things where I'm like, oh, well, that looked like, probably, know me. It's very easy to do rough and just shrink the paintbrush and fill in the edges a bit. Now bear in mind that this only looks easy because I've done it quite a lot of times. It takes practice. I don't think it matters too much if I get the black on the blue a bit, because it's not really showing so much under some of the detailing of the art, and I can always actually erase it anyway, can't I? So that makes it a bit easier. This is why I sometimes find it easier using a soft brush, or almost always easier using a soft brush, because then you don't actually have to erase so much of it, because it's sort of, if you don't know the difference between a soft and a hard brush, then basically it's, if you look at the little images, that's the hardest brush you can get. So the border where the brush is, like you can see it here, if it's going to show me, will all be full of colour, but the softest brushes, like the colour will fade from the middle out to the edges, so there actually isn't very much at the edge, and that can actually be really helpful. But because I've kind of painted quite a lot of this blue, I'm gonna take a razor, that's too big, and try and bring out the blue a little bit. That's just too big. Trying to find an eraser the right size. That seems to work quite nicely. This is just awkward because it's quite thin and it has to look right because I'm a perfectionist, which means it doesn't look like that. It's made easier when you've only got a small portion of a spiral and you don't make it go round and round and round, because then it just takes more time. So there we go, that's about that. It's not perfect, but will do. And I'm then going to put in these little lines. So I'm just going to call this lines, and I'm going to put this under the black. And I'm going to try and see if I can pick the colour of that. There we go. This was paintbrush job. How thick do I want this? Not that thick. More like that. Because the way I did this, I vaguely remember, is that I didn't do it really tidily. I sort of did it so that lines would cross over in more than one place. Like so, in a kind of fairly random fashion. Just so that it would look a bit more organic and a bit more interesting. And this is where the soft edge paintbrush and eraser look quite good, because you can see there's a little colour fade where these lines are coming in and out, and that just is quite aesthetically pleasing. Of course, if you don't like that, then you don't have to do it that way, but personal preference, I quite like it. And there are quite a lot of lines in the original, and I'm going to try to keep it that way. I mean, I'm not expecting it to look exactly like the original, it's just basically showing you how it works. So that's that part, about done. That actually does look pretty similar, doesn't it? And I'm then going to do this bit as well. What's good about this is you can just do it really quickly. Don't like that one actually. It's just one of those things that it's quite hard to get wrong. So it's quite a good thing just to try out, and I airbrushed these lines with some purple, I think. If I expand this a bit, you can kind of see it better. Oh, it looks like I used some blue for that as well. Okay. So I'm going to colour pick that blue, actually. Called this light purple airbrush, didn't I? I'll just have to rename it, what a shame. Oh, that's actually really dark blue. Interesting. Oh, this. Me and typos do not mix. Or, well, it depends on how you define mix in that case, doesn't it? Because I either don't mix with typos or I mix with them really well. Let me know what you think on that front, because I'm not sure. And I now have the painstaking job, getting back to the point, I think that was underneath, of airbrushing every single line. Time consuming, worth it. I mean, this difference here that I'm getting is quite subtle. That looks bad. But when you use other colours, like when I think I did the purple first last time, it can make quite a dramatic difference. So it's not one of those things that it might just be fun to play with. I'm always doing that with graphic design, just finding things to play with. And you never know, it might just turn out being really good and think, I should do that more often. It's just one of those funny things, if you can get your lines in the right place. And again, because these lines were all quite randomly placed, the airbrushing can be like that too. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. Sorry about my chair. It just keeps squealing like that. But it doesn't have to be perfect, getting back to the point. And it can sometimes look quite nice when it's not perfect. I always quite like deliberately making things slightly off. So purple airbrush. Let's colour pick that. Is that actually purple? Doesn't you have it? Wait, you should see it. Yeah, that is purple. Okay, so actually I should probably zoom back out on this image. I don't need it like that anymore. And I'm now just gonna airbrush this. The interesting thing about this picture, and the reason I said it was deceptively complicated, is because it's not actually that many layers as such, but there are just all these little things, like these 2 layers of airbrush, that, you know, they're not actually that easy to notice at first glance, but it does make that bit of difference. And I'll show you that once I finish this, which I nearly have. I will take the airbrush layers away and then I'll put them back, and you can see how much of a difference it makes, because when you're doing it, it can be quite hard to see. So here we go, let's take them away. And now I'm going to put them back. And there is actually a decent difference there, but it's just one of those things that you wouldn't necessarily think of at first. So then there's just this tiny bit of text in this corner left to do. Let's see if I can colour pick that. Okay, just not that scale, that's not happening. There we go. No, that's not right, is it? There. Right. Oh, I've already got the right font loaded up. How handy is that? And again, that's just in the corner here. And I've got this in the wrong place in the layer stack, so you can't actually see it. That's helpful. And that's way too big anyway. Let's put that down to 15. To zoom that out so I get an idea. Oh. That's too small. Let's try 20. That's more like it. I'll move that. There are interestingly 2 ways of moving text. You can move it with the move tool, like I did in the Melodies of Life art making, or you can move it using the text tool by dragging the border bars around. Depending on the situation, either will work fine. And as with the other images I've done, I have airbrushed around the text, so I shall do that quickly. And I'll get the colours. That's 1. I think I did 2 colours here, because I'm pretty sure when I colour picked it, it came up with a couple of different ones. I'm going to have to zoom in on this. I'm just going to do this one first. And this is very similar, well, it's actually the same as when I did the blink of an eye text. Try and keep it as neat as possible. Although again, in this one you can see that I deliberately didn't make it perfect, because when it's all perfect it's just a bit boring. Especially with something that looks as simple as this. If it all looks perfect and it's really complicated and it's like, wow, that's great, but with something simple, if it's deliberately imperfect, it actually sometimes looks better. Keep that in mind sometimes, if you're going a bit nuts, trying to make everything look exactly how you want. Okay, that's layer 1. I can't spell, and honestly I actually can't be bothered to correct it. And I'm gonna, yeah, I must have done 2 colours here. Let's see, what's that one? Yeah, that is different. And I think I might put a layer of white on that as well. So I'm just gonna do this airbrush layering up airbrush is just one of those things that is, again, quite fun to do. You can get some pretty interesting effects as well if you use lots of really different colours. With that, it can sometimes look really nice, it can sometimes look really horrible, but one of those things that, again, might just be fun to try. If you don't try, you never know. And I'm pretty sure I use white, so I'm just going to grab that. Create another layer that I can't be bothered to correct the spelling on, and do that quickly. Whoa, I'm going to have to lower the opacity of that. Could have sworn I just saw something in my image move there. It can't have done, I didn't move it. I'm just going to stop thinking about that, I think, if I can. And carry on. The trouble that I often have with small tools is that you have to be quite precise, because often if you go back and skip through other videos, or even earlier in this video, you'll be noticing like the brush size, well actually not so much in this video, but the brush sizes I'm using are often like 200 or 300 or even bigger than that sometimes. And I'm just used to doing that because I like to do things that are quite abstract, like, actually I'll zoom this out so you can see, like this really, it isn't any object, it is essentially an abstract, because I find doing objects not massively interesting personally. But I said I was going to lower the opacity of this, didn't I? And that looks almost exactly like that one. I'm pretty impressed with that. So, hope you enjoyed that. That's the artwork for my track Shards of Shadow, and I will see you next time.